Great is thy faithfulness, God our Creator. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions they fail not. As thou wast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness, morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness, morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Wondrous the portion thy blessings provide. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness, morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
Shaping Generations with Dr. Simon Muavo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shaping Generations Interactive Program. Today we have an exciting guest with us, Angela. You have just watched her sing, but today we are talking to her live. And please share this broadcast with loved ones because something powerful is coming your way. So as we discuss this program, I have my co-host, Charity Dabi. Welcome to the program, Charity.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Good. How has your week been, Charity? Can you tell me about what you've been up to?
I started my week by doing a service in Grand Bank, Newfoundland, and it was just wonderful to be with them. And then I traveled a little ways to spend time at my fiance's place, and here I am on the program today.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. So coming up, friends, is Angela. And some of you might not know her, or you have heard her. I do a lot of her programs, her singing. I put them up for during our services, and I think it should be last year or the other year. We had her do some pieces for us on Christmas Eve. That was excellent, and we really appreciate and thank God. And thank God for Cameron, who is the minister at Forest Grove, who was able to give us permission to go ahead and play Angela's music. But today we are going to host her on this special program. And we know there are people in India, there are people in Africa, there are people in Canada and the US and Europe who are keen to know who Angela is. But before she comes on the show, I would like you to identify her with her powerful voice before she comes on. Watch this. Wow! Praise the Lord. Angela, welcome.
Thank you very much, Simon. I'm very happy to be here.
Good. Wow, what in the world? Can you tell us about yourself, Angela, and your career in music? What inspired you?
Sure. Yeah. So I started taking lessons when I was 11 years old, which was a little while ago, and I've been training classically ever since then. I didn't really think of singing as a career initially. I
No.
went into a different field, but I was eventually led by the Spirit and by my passion to to pursue music, and I did a bachelor's and master's degree in music, and I
Yeah.
graduated in 2019 and have been navigating the pandemic and trying to make the best
Yeah.
of it since then.
Yes, yeah, you've been such a blessing during the pandemic because most of us didn't have people that could do music, right? And you were there for everyone. By the way, Angela is an Anglican. She provides music across the board to the United Church of Canada and anyone. And so there are those in Toronto or anywhere in Canada or even in the US who are watching us right now. We play some of what Angela does, and I'd like you to connect with her. Charity, any question that you have?
Yeah, it's been really inspiring to us to see you as a young person so interested in church music and especially hymns. And I was just wondering if you had a role model, and if you do, who that person might be.
Yeah, well, I grew up in the church. My dad is actually a pastor, so I grew up from a very young age singing hymns. So I was very comfortable doing that. And the music director at the church I grew up at, Lima O'Sullivan, was very passionate and very spirit led about hymns and being very worshipful to God through those hymns. So she really helps me a lot, and also overcoming, any insecurities about performing. Yeah, so she was really influential.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is interesting. Now, you just sing them from the heart because when I look at the Voices United, it looks like you know every piece, every hymn.
Getting
Oh,
there.
yes.
Well,
Because your singing comes out naturally. It's what a talent, what a gift, what a blessing.
thank you, Simon.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm certainly learning almost all of the hymns now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to have, when we're recording, we have the opportunity to study beforehand and do
Yeah.
different takes if we need to. So that's helpful as well.
Right. Yeah. So do you listen to the original hymns first that others have sung before, or you are able to read music as it is?
Yeah, a bit of both. Sometimes I will look up the hymn, or if there's a choral arrangement, to kind of get inspired and to see what's been done. But yeah, I can read music as well, so I can kind of put my own interpretation into it. Yeah, the United Church specifically has a lot of really interesting, unique, inspiring hymns. So I've been
Yes.
very inspired by them. Yeah.
Yeah, when you look at the more voices, it's got
Yeah.
excellent hymns there. Yeah, Charity, any other question? Another question that you have?
Yeah, I just wanted to know what you would say to a young person in the church who might need encouragement in getting more involved.
Yeah, I would just say not to worry too much about what other people think. I was definitely one of those people. I was a little bit insecure. But yeah, and another thing that really helped me that someone mentioned was think of the audience of one, which is God, essentially, that, he's really the most important audience member. So if we're focusing on him and praising and worshiping him, then everything else will fall into place, basically.
Yeah. I know so many young people struggle because of peer pressure in this generation, especially because, like, when you come even to our church, we have only the seniors, the older people, and Charity is just one of the youngest that we have, or maybe the only young one who is very much involved at this point. And to see such an inspiring figure like yourself brings a lot of hope to the church in North America, especially the traditional churches.
Mm-hmm.
And you bring that value, attachment, and meaning to the whole body of Christ. So when a minister like myself look at a person like you, I know that there is future in the church.
Well, thank you,
And
Simon.
that God's grace is sufficient. So we'll come back, and as we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we will discuss further. But at this point, I'd like to play "Oh Hail the Power." I love this one. You did it. Watch this.
Shaping Generations with Dr. Simon Muavo.
We are shaping a generation of power and blessing to our generation. Angela is one of the very inspiring young persons, and continues to inspire nations through music. There are many young people out there who feel that they can take part because of peer pressure. Of course, we've talked about that. But here is one person who had to fight all the challenges of today's culture and is able to be an example of righteousness in Christ's mission. Charity Darby is one of them who has been under my mentorship, and I'm so privileged to have her as my co-host, and we continue to shape each other through this. Charity, what message do you have, especially for the young people? I think let me focus on the young people today before Angela comes back.
Well, my advice would just be similar to Angela's, to keep your eyes on Jesus and not to worry about what other people are doing or saying, because at the end of the day, Jesus is the one who will be faithful to you. And having that connection with church and church community is so important, especially in this day and age where loneliness and lack of connection is abounding. Having a church community to be part of is also so important.
And Charity, we are beginning to talk about the parables of Jesus.
Yes.
And we are starting today, and we'll go on for a number of weeks discussing that. Parables are literally expressions to explain the truth, and Jesus' parables were stories that were cast alongside a truth in order to illustrate that truth. We want to talk about the parable of the talents. Could you give me the background to it? And then we are going to connect with Angela's talent as we explore and encourage someone somewhere.
Well, we have an appropriate topic today about talents, having Angela on. And this chunk of scripture comes from Matthew 25. And Jesus has crowds gathered all around him and his disciples, and he's teaching them about the kingdom. So he tells them this story as a way to teach them something about the kingdom. So the parable goes like this. There's a man going on a journey, and he calls all his servants and entrusts him with some of his property while he's gone. So he has 3 servants. To one, he gives 5 talents, to one, 2, and to the other 1. And while he is gone, 2 out of the 3 servants make good use of the talents they were given. And when the master returns, they have more. However, the servant who was entrusted with 1 hid his talent away and buried it, and he didn't put it to good use. And when he comes back, he still only has this 1 to show. And the man is angered at this servant and says, you didn't make good use of what I gave you. But to the other 2, he says, those who were faithful in little will be faithful in much. So Jesus tells this story to illustrate the time between his first coming and his second coming. And it really challenges us to, will we be useful for the kingdom, and will we use the gifts we have been given for God's kingdom?
Wow. Yeah. And how can we identify those gifts, Charity? How can we discover that this is my talent and this is how I must use my talent?
I think a talent that we can use for the kingdom is something that we see a need that we can fill. And I think sometimes God lays on our heart to see this need because it's something that he's given us the gift to be able to fill this.
Yeah. Let me now bring on Angela. Angela, what did it take for you to identify that this is your gift?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so it's something that I, again, cultivated when I was younger, but I didn't sort of think it was something that I was going to focus on with my life until I was a bit older. And I remember there was one day when I was singing a hymn at home. I don't know why exactly I was doing it, but I was singing it and I was pretending that there were people listening to me, and I was trying to convey the words that I was saying. And I just felt really at peace, and I just felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. And so, ever since then, being involved in churches and singing in services, it just feels like what I'm sort of, it's the highest good that I can offer. Yeah,
absolutely. Charity just mentioned that there is a need that has to be identified and discovered. And I saw, I think during the pandemic, the last 2 years, what is the greatest need that you saw in the church? What was the missing piece?
Yeah, I know a lot of churches have struggled with putting the music together when they've been online, and if they've been doing live streams. A lot of churches have adapted, but I've been very happy to supply music to more than one church per Sunday if they need more music. And obviously, it helps to forge connections, which we're all, really needing right now during this time. Yeah.
Yeah, and this just reminds me of the faithfulness of God. We struggled especially the first year of the pandemic. We actually struggled. And I went to YouTube to just check who can sing for me. It was tough. And then here was a voice, a golden voice. I listened to you like 3, 4, or 5 times. Then began to search. Where is she found? So I had to find contact for Cameron, Reverend Cameron at Forest Grove United, and I think he connected me with the K, and until I was able to speak to you. And our church was blessed. Charity was there watching, and everybody was, and as we put all the pieces together. So I know you are a daughter of a pastor, but to respond to this higher calling of saying, let me be in front of the camera and help these churches. I know it's not about money. You don't charge the way other people charge. You know, it is a calling and it is a blessing, and you have done it exceptionally well. Did anyone just come to approach you to say, come and sing for us at our church, or what? I know as we discuss this, there are so many young people that are trying to find their way to be meaningful and prosper in their music, but they don't know how to begin.
Yeah. So in Toronto, where I am, there are some networks of churches on Facebook and that kind of thing. So if they need singers, they will post in the groups, and then that enables people to connect and fill in where they're needed. So I was initially just filling in for someone at Forest Grove teaching music, and then it kind of snowballed into all of this that it is now. And it's been a huge blessing to be involved with them, because they have so much technical expertise, and they know how to do all the videos and the audios and the editing. So it's been a huge blessing to be involved with them, and their YouTube has had quite a wide reach. So it's been great.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one thing is, one has to make themselves available. Opportunities are out there, but one should be available and should be able to say, this is what I have to offer. This is what I have to do to fill up. Because there are many of them that just sit down and think somebody will just show up and say, come and do this. Charity, do you have a question or something you want to get?
I was just thinking right now, the church needs all hands on deck, and we all have our own gifts and talents. And some of us might think, I don't have anything to contribute. I hear a lot of people say that, but we all have talents and gifts, and we need everyone. So it's such a blessing to see someone else using their gifts, and other people are blessed when we use our gifts. Yeah.
And Charity, look, when we look at this parable that we're talking about, the parable of the talents, and Jesus has taught this parable to his disciples, and he speaks about 3 people that he gave talents with. To one he gave 10, the other one 5, and to the other one 1.
Right.
What is the rationale?
I think the rationale is similar to when we see Paul talk about the gifts of the Spirit, and he says they are given according to your faith. So I think that they're distributed according to faith and faithfulness, and whether you are available.
Yeah, I think that is important, because some people would say that I do not have as much talent as the others, so I'll just sit back. I'll just sit back and let others do all the job. Yeah. But I think as we serve, one of the important things to identify is just one talent that you have. If you have 2, that's okay. If you have 5, it's fine. If you have 10, But the rationale here is that you must make use of your talents to the maximum. And that is very important. And this is what we are learning from Angela. Okay, she started a journey with other dreams and aspirations, but then she had to come into the world of music. And in such a generation like this, the Lord directs her to be a blessing to the church and the people around her. And now she is a model for many people. There are many thousands of people that are watching us right now. And they could be demotivated, or they feel their talent is valueless, or they do not know how to kickstart. But one important thing is that God is faithful when we make ourselves available. And we see from the parable that when Jesus Christ returns, he says, well, he won't be pleased with someone who just buried their talent in the ground. Maybe Charity, you can speak to that. What type of people bury such talents in the ground and expect that it will multiply or something?
I think sometimes there's a lot of reasons. Maybe people don't realize they have a talent. Like you said, it's important to identify our talents. And every talent is different. And I think sometimes we think these talents that are people who are, always on the stage, or people who have speaking or singing gifts. And we look at those talents and think, well, I don't have that kind of talent. I must not have any. But all of our talents are useful. And as much as we appreciate those talents, there are talents to be appreciated in administration and in building and in people who have great vision for how things should look, and how just keeping things prepared and open, and all those talents are necessary in the church.
Wonderful. Okay, as we come back, we will be concluding our show. It won't be that long today. We'll be concluding our show, but listen to one other piece that Angela sang as part of the church. There are churches that are struggling right now. They want someone to sing for them in their virtual churches. And I would like you to listen to this piece. And I'm sure you will be blessed. Wow, praise be to God. So, Angela, what are your last words to the people? What words of inspiration do you have in line with music and your gift?
Yeah, I think echoing just what Charity said, everyone has a gift, and don't be afraid to share it, and pray about it, and God will lead you, and yeah, don't worry too much. Just focus on Him.
Mm, wonderful. Charity, any last words? I know we'll continue talking about the parable of the talents next week, but what words do you have today?
I just wanted
Your
to
last.
thank Angela for being here and sharing her talents with the church, and it's just a great example to me and all young people who are watching. It's encouraging to see other people like myself involved and just working for the church and for God's mission. So thanks.
Wow, we are missing Melissa. She should have been here. Her Texas internet is disappointed her today, but she will be with us next week on Tuesday. She actually wanted to meet you, Angela. She was looking forward to it, but she's watching. And if there are any questions, they'll be directed to you from her. She's an awesome person. She's one of our co-hosts here at Shaping Generations TV. So thank you for accepting our invitation, for honoring it. Our viewers have been demanding for your presence. They thought they thought we didn't know you, and that all the music we just play. I said I'm gonna bring her on the show so you can be inspired, and especially young people that are aspiring to be musicians and gospel musicians, for that matter. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Well,
Thank
thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Good. And to all our viewers, I want to say thank you for your faithfulness and thank you for joining us today. And we'll see you next week at the same time. This has been a presentation of Shaping Generations. God bless you and shalom.